So the main thing for the talk today is obviously the great unknown. Now for us, the great unknown was heading out into the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean being the world's largest ocean in the world, and it had never ever been crossed before by a team of all 4 women, and that's what we were setting out to do. And so the unknown for us was a multitude of factors. It was the fact of what was the ocean going to throw at us? What storms were we going to encounter? What wildlife were we going to see? What experiences were we going to have? And fundamentally, what the unknown was to us was how are we going to actually live, breathe, and work together as a team of 4 women on a 29-foot ocean rowing boat, no bigger than the size of Greg Rutherford's long jump. So it was a small environment, no support around us, and how were we actually going to manage as a team? And I think that was our biggest unknown going into this. So on the 20th of April at 2 a.m. in the morning, we pushed off from San Francisco, from the dockside, where all of our families were on that side, and it was an emotional goodbye to them. Our poor parents not knowing what we were heading into, having no idea, and being very supportive of what we'd sort of set ourselves up for. And fundamentally, as we pushed off, there were a massive mix of emotions, from the extremes of like the pit of your stomach, empty fear of what the heck were we about to do, compared to the other extreme of like, finally, we're actually there. And I had a massive relief actually when we pushed off, because it had taken us 4 years to get prepared and get to this point. 4 years of ups and downs and struggles to get there. 4 years of trying to get the right team in this boat. And so as we pushed off, that idyllic feeling as we sort of went underneath the Golden Gate Bridge and we saw the lights disappear in the distance, it was a sense of actual relief. All I needed to worry about now was row, eat, sleep, repeat. And that's what I thought was going to be a nice, simple life for the next 6 months. I thought no emails, no phones, this is going to be bliss. What more can go on? Yeah, that lasted for about 4 hours. And then I soon got slapped in the face with acute seasickness, which unfortunately for me continued for, I thought I'd get through it over a day or 2, but it persisted for about 10 days, solidly. And the reason that that was a problem, not just because obviously it's not so nice throwing up, but also I'd actually taken 2 years to put on a huge amount of weight. And as a lead physio in sport, I'm surrounded by athletes with about 8% of body fat. And there I was for the last 2 years, stuffing my face with eclairs and donuts and eating whole flipping chickens at lunchtime, no word of a lie, trying to get to about 30% of body fat and an extra 2 stone. And after 10 days, I'd pretty much lost 1.5 stone of body weight. And so I was then concerned about, not only was I going to be able to be there for my teammates, but also would I be able to last 6 months out at sea if I'd already lost over 75% of my body fat? And so we had a few of these things, and it wasn't just the seasickness. Unfortunately, that was a catalyst of events for quite a few other things that happened within those first 10 days. And we had basically gone straight into a huge storm within the first 24 hours. We experienced over 40-foot waves that were crashing over the boat. And no matter how much practice we put in off the coast of England, nothing is the same as the Pacific Ocean, I can tell you that now. 40-foot waves are like twice the height of this room coming towards you. And that's one thing to experience that in the daytime, when there's nothing you can do but just see this towering wave about to crash over you, and all you can say is, hold on. Basically, hoping and praying you're not going to get washed off your seat and get thrown overboard, or the boat's not going to capsize. And in those conditions, when they really were out of control, we just had to batten down the hatches and get into the cabins. But that was fine in the daytime, but at nighttime, when your only source of light was the moon, and that had been encompassed by thick cloud, it was pitch black, and it was silent, and all you could hear was the waves crashing around you and the wind howling. And that was the scariest moments, because you wouldn't see those waves coming at you. They would come at you at the last minute, smack the side of the boat and completely throw you off your seat, where you get that immediate adrenaline rush and then nothing you can do about it, and you just hope to God you're not going to get thrown overboard. Now for us, these environments, it was really scary those first 10 days. There were different things that got thrown at us. But to top it all off, 10 days in, I went to go and check the battery hatches and those sorts of things, do the normal checks. And unfortunately, I checked a hatch and it was flooded. And also, it completely burnt through our electronics. Because of the flooding, it had caused an issue. And that was 2 of our worst nightmares. It was a complete catastrophe. We had flooding, and we basically had a fire on the boat. So the first 10 days were really not going to plan, that's for sure. And so we had to make a decision. We had to make one of those crucial decisions of, do we continue to push forwards, which means we would have no electricity, potentially, so we had to rely on our backups. But we've got another 2,000 miles to go. We were 500 miles offshore, so our second decision was, well, we could turn back in, but that would add 1,000 miles to our journey. That would add nearly a month onto our expedition. And on a personal level, I wanted to be getting back for the World Championships I wanted to work at, and for Rio that's happening this year. So personally, I wanted to crack on. But you have to consider what your teammates want. So we put it to the team, and 2 wanted to continue forwards, and 2 wanted to turn back in. So ask yourself, would you continue or would you turn back in? Now for us, I think one of the biggest things is that during those times, I came into this as coming from a world of performance sport, of working as a leader in physiotherapy with the Paralympic athletics team, where I'm responsible for over 70 athletes' healthcare and getting them to the start line. So I thought, coming into this, being a lead role in setting up the team or looking after my crew of 6, that would be easy enough. But what I hadn't realised is kind of actually when I got taken out of action. So the fact was, in those first 10 days when I was seasick, I just had to get myself on the oars every 2 hours, 24/7, with only 60 minutes of rest in between times. Of sleep, should I say, sorry. And so that 2 hours on, 2 hours off, that's all I could focus on. So my stoicism that I came into this, my kind of impression that I would be invincible and I could look after the girls that were on that boat, completely got stripped bare. But actually, that totally highlighted to me the strength of our team. That highlighted to me that I'm not a leader of this team, I'm part of this team. And how do you get yourself to that point where you can feel part of the team and not on a hierarchical level? And fundamentally for us, the girls hugely showed me, and I love them to pieces, that they showed and epitomised what our team values were. And that was spirit. Team spirit for us not just meant us as a team and the spirit that we went into things, but it represented strength, perseverance, integrity, resilience, inspiration, and trust. And this is what we lived and breathed. We saw it every time we were on the oars. We saw it when we lay down in the cabins, and we held ourselves accountable to those values all the time. And it's kind of made me think since, when have I ever felt part of a team? Not a lead role in a physio career, but actually part of a team. And it reminded me of when I went scuba diving years ago. And if any of you have scuba dived before, you set up a buddy system. And when I did this was with spinal cord injured guys that had never scuba dived before. So we all sort of learnt to dive together. And what they teach you as a buddy, as a pairing, you check each other's equipment. So I need to make sure that his equipment is safe before we go down. He has to check that mine's safe. When we go down together, we descend together. When we're down there, their oxygen is my oxygen if I run out, and my oxygen is theirs. There's a partnership. There's a lifeline that you have in each other. And it made me realize that actually that is a team, that you're on the same level, that you share each other's oxygen, you're each other's lifeline. The girls, the team that I was with, they were my lifeline just as much as I was theirs. And these are the girls. But Nat, myself, and Emma did the whole journey. We rode from San Francisco via Hawaii, Samoa, and finished in Cairns, Australia. Izzy joined us on the first leg. Lizanne joined us on the second leg and swapped that fourth seat. And then Lizanne swapped out with Meg on the last leg. Now, us as a team, you might think that we'd sat down, had a few bevies, and decided to row the Pacific Ocean, as you would. But that actually wasn't the case. These girls actually got involved completely different times. For instance, Lizanne and Meg only joined us 2 months before we set off. Meg has never even rowed before until she arrived in Samoa. She just thought her philosophy was, you know what, if I don't like it, I'm not going to want to get in the boat, so I'll just figure it out when I get there. So she's got some method to her madness. It's not quite the way I see it, but it worked for Megs. And the crucial thing is that we are completely different personalities. But we didn't get to this point very easily. There were over 30 girls that got involved in the team. I started the project 4 years previously to get into this start line. And yes, there were difficulties getting sponsorship. And yes, there were difficulties getting the boat built and doing the logistics. But the most difficult thing was finding a crew, a team of girls that not only shared the dedication and commitment to get to the start line, but I knew that I could live with, breathe with, and be comfortable with for a whole, what we thought was going to be 6 months, ended up being 9 months at sea, and in a confined small space. And I know plenty of people said to us, how the hell did you not throw each other overboard? Well, for one, that would waste human power, so that wasn't going to happen. But fundamentally, we didn't know each other, and we were completely different personalities. And that diversity only got to the point on my 4th time of doing a team recruitment, when I finally looked at it, I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I guess the problem was, I was seeing, to get a team recruitment, I was seeing things through my lens, through my eyes. And working in elite sport, I work with athletes all the time. They get dedicated, they have a set goal, and they achieve it, even if it's a 1/10 of a second off their sprint. And I was like, so I just want somebody athletic. They've got physical capabilities. That means they're going to have the dedication. But that wasn't the case, and that wasn't working for us. So I needed to step back and get outside advice. So we did psychometrics, which highlighted actually where my own pitfalls were, highlighted where my strengths were, but I had a load of things that I wasn't strong in. I wasn't getting us to the start line, and it showed me what I needed to do. And actually what it needed was balance. It needed an elephant to stand on a ball. No, it very much needed a balance within the team to cover off kind of where my weaknesses were. I needed girls to have the strengths, and vice versa. But not only did we do psychometrics when the girls applied, but I then wanted to see this in actual practice. So we did some testing. And I went to an army group, and I figured, you know what? I want us to be stress tested. I want us to be sleep deprived. I want us to be cold, wet, hungry, all of those factors that we're going to experience out at sea without actually being out at sea. So we went to the Brecon Beacons, and an army group, Fieri, tested us and put us through 48 hours of sleep depot. We did 40 Ks across the Brecons. We got cold, we got wet, we got hungry because of those disgusting ration packs. And on top of that, our feet were blistered, we were in pain. And you know what? I went into that thinking, I know exactly who's going to come out of this. Those ones that have done the Marathon des Sables or Ironman, those sorts of things. I still had a very narrow mindset of who I thought was going to shine. And actually, what massively stood out, it was the girls that were at the back. It was the girls that were in physical pain but never complained. It was the ones that, when we were all struggling and nearly falling asleep on our feet, that they still drew on humour, and they still brought life and like laughter and kind of fun to the group. And it was those girls, I was like, actually, you know what? I totally had underestimated these. And I was like, you're the person that I totally want to stay in a boat with. You're the person that's going to bring the best out of me when I feel like crap. And vice versa, I wanted to see how each person interacted amongst themselves. So the way I see it is, it's kind of like when putting a team together, you need to test the waters, but you want to see, just don't take people on face value. You know, it's like a rough cut diamond that on the surface you think you see just a normal rock, but actually put it under pressure and the diamonds shine through. And 100% I would say you want to see that if you're selecting a team. Now, when we went into the Pacific Ocean, I had now finally found my diamonds to be on that boat. But when we were out at sea, I needed to sort of know how we were going to kind of work together. So there are 3 key things that I found when we were out in the ocean that really stood out. And one of those was that we did share a common end goal. And that common end goal, yes, it was to get to Cairns, Australia, in whatever shape or form, whether we were rowing the whole way or a single leg. But it was also the fact that we all shared, we wanted to get to Cairns as a team. We wanted to stay together as a unit, as one unit. Now, that's not to say we did not have our share of arguments, because we did. We're on a 29-foot ocean rowing boat. You can't run anywhere. You can't hide. You can't walk away when you just want to give yourself some space. You had to deal with it, and we had to force ourselves to deal with it. And so we needed to have confidence in our confrontation, and it's something that we definitely developed. And I think this is something that I would hugely take forward into any team I would work with in the future. Don't be scared to share your mind, because at the end of the day, we had stupid arguments over things like a packet of noodles. And Nat, don't say anything, but we would agree now that we've got a difference in opinion about those noodles to this day. But fundamentally, because we got to know each other so well, because we had built confidence in confrontation, yes, we had a screaming match about a packet of noodles, but we were able to completely be transparent in what our thoughts were and be able to share what our opinions were, which meant we left nothing unsaid. And it meant that we could hug it out and we moved on. We never held a grudge, which was crucial. And the next day, we were able to laugh about it, which meant the next day we were able to take stupid photos about noodles in the middle of the Pacific so that we could write a blog about it. But the third and final thing I think really encompasses what we really believed in is that we shared mutual respect with each other. And the reason I say that is because we were completely diverse in our personalities. So some people might say when you've got completely opposing people, like Izzy, who is a lawyer, who loves being pragmatic and ordered and black and white and things in their place, versus Natalia, who is a beautiful character that lives in the moment and absolutely absorbs that and brings so much humor, love, and life to any team that she's around and where she's surrounding. But they are completely opposite, so how could they live together on a small boat for that period of time? And it's because they totally respected what each personality could bring. They knew that they needed each other to make this team work and to make us fundamentally a crucial team that shared laughter and enjoyed the whole journey from start to finish. And it's highlighted to me that you can always see things through your own lens. But fundamentally, if all of us only see each other as one puzzle piece, that you think you're going to have that perfect physical ability, then if I was looking for people the same as what I had in my mind's eye, we would have the same puzzle pieces. We wouldn't make up a picture. You need different sizes, shapes, curves, edges to make up a puzzle. You need to find different ones that make up a puzzle piece that find that connection. So when you come together, that's what makes the picture. Now for us in our team, in our crew, we were all different shapes, sizes, we had different beliefs, different backgrounds, different experiences. But when we came together and when we found our connection, we were a team and we were one unit that made it to the finish line. So all I can say is take forwards with you. If you're working in a team or you're trying to put a team together, just think to yourself, take a step back, don't see things through your own lens, and try and see what that end goal is that you want to see, what that end picture looks like, and what are all the puzzle pieces that are going to make that up. Thank you very much.